Good morning, everybody. It's May 22nd, a Friday, Memorial Day weekend. And this is the Made in Paradise podcast. My name is John Clark, along with my co-hosts Darin Fingleton and Anthony Ferguson. We're in the business of selling big closeout deals and solving big inventory problems. And we'll talk about a little bit more about that at the end of the show. That's how we sponsor the Made in Paradise podcast. But what we do on the podcast mainly is talk about life and business. So today, Anthony Ferguson, tell us what wise topic you want to talk about.
Well, what would the world be like without religion?
What would the world be like without religion?
Right.
Well, what would the world be like without myths, right? We think in stories. And we've always thought in stories. We communicate best in stories. We remember stories. We tell ourselves stories. There's a story we tell ourselves about our life. Religion is another story, right? Religion is another story. So what would the world be like without religion?
Right.
Less enlightened, because it's a step that needed to be taken. It's an evolutionary step between an animal that's not conscious and a human that's driving an individual consciousness, right? We had to get from point A to point B, and there's a way that we had to get there. We would be much further behind in conscious thought without religion, because it's what brought us there. In the beginning, we thought the sun was a god and the moon was another god. Right. Then we learned, okay, these are heavenly bodies. This is the science behind this. And the more we've studied the outside, the more we understand that it originates in the inside. But
don't you think that religion in some ways helps to maintain like peace and harmony? Because
absolutely. There's a tremendous amount of good and that's done by religion. Right. So we have to look at what the point is. Right. Some religions say you're going to die and you're going to get 40 virgins when you die, and other religions say you're going to get your own planet, and some say you're going to go to a heaven where there's streets of gold. Right. They have all these different stories. And how does each one of those stories affect how you live your life on earth? If you believe that you're part of a chosen few, and you're the only ones who are going to see paradise together afterwards, and the other people on the earth are all just going to perish and go away, and they're not going to exist anymore. If you have that view, then you're not loving your neighbor as yourself. You don't love humanity. You're being very tribal with your religion, right? Therein lies the problem. Giving out food to poor people or medical care or whatever it happens to be that is charitable, all those good things about religion. Yeah, absolutely. The question always becomes, is that good that it does worth also the evil that it does? As we know that some religions have a lot of leaders that like to molest children, for example. So does that organization do more good than evil? Okay, you'll have to be the judge of that information.
Right.
But Maharaji, my guru, he never taught that if you were going to follow him or follow his teachings, you needed to leave your religion. There were Jews and Muslims and Christians, and they all came to follow him. He told people, you must obey the teachings of Christ, right? You must obey the teachings of Christ. That's a pretty straight statement, right? Go ahead.
No, sorry. I have an next question. So, you were a pastor for so many years. What is the daily life of a truly dedicated pastor really like?
During that time, I had a quiet time every day, as is what we called it, and it was a time that I intentionally spent with God. And at the height of that, when I was a pastor, it was 2 hours a day, and an hour of that I spent on my knees in prayer, believing that I needed to be in that posture to humble myself, right? There was a time that I had a prayer book because I was a pastor and because you know about so many situations, you needed to pray for those people. And one of the things that irritated me when I was a pastor is people saying they pray for you and you know they're not going to do it, because you have to devote time to do that. You have to make notes and you have to be really intentional about that. Now I understand that basically every intentional thought is a prayer. Every intentional thought is a prayer to my higher self. And I didn't understand that then. But as a pastor, I dedicated 2 hours a day, every day, without fail, at the height of my pastoring, to that quiet time. In addition to that, I was always listening to audiobooks, or I attended leadership conferences, and I had to teach 3 times a week. So you just have to figure you're going to put at least an hour and a half into each one of those teachings. And then I worked a full-time job.
Wow.
Do you think though that by getting into those positions actually helps? Because I mean, that's a disciplined position. Obviously you're sat on your knees, or however anybody prays. Do you think that has any benefit to being in those positions?
You're saying that, does kneeling have a benefit? I think it definitely has a benefit. It definitely has a benefit, because for all of that time, I'm thinking I'm humbling myself before an almighty God. And I didn't realize that could also be considered my higher self, right? But it tempered my pride, right? It tempered my ego.
Right. So according to the Bible, what is love? And do you think we can ever experience that love?
So according to the Bible, what is love? We had a conversation in a previous podcast about the Bible says love in a bunch of different places, and there's a bunch of different words for it.
I would like, I would like you to give me the one you had on you have like a sign on your refrigerator with the meaning of love.
Okay. So that's agape love, right? This is the description of agape love, which is unconditional love. Love is patient, love is kind, it doesn't envy, it doesn't boast, it's not proud, it's not rude, it's not self-seeking, it's not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always hopes, always trusts, always perseveres. Love never fails. If you think about that definition, if you just go through each one of those points, 1 Corinthians 13, you're going to see that is a decision that you make. Every single one of those is a decision that you make. It isn't something it's not a feeling. It's not a flowery feeling or attraction. That's not what it is. These are decisions that you make. And if you make those decisions, then you experience agape love. And you asked me the question, you said, do you think people can experience unconditional love? Is that what you said?
Right. That's right.
Have you experienced unconditional love from me, Anthony?
Unconditional love. When you give all the description about what love really means, I think is you're always missing something, right? I'm talking for myself. I was missing something, right? So that's why I asked.
I'm asking you a question. Have you experienced unconditional love from me to you?
Oh, from you coming to
from
my
me
side.
to you, yeah.
I receive unconditional love, definitely.
What about you, Darin? Do you think you've received unconditional love from me at some point in our relationship?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay, well,
and
that answers Anthony's question, right? The answer to his question is, do we experience it? And of course you can experience it.
We used to always go to Friday lunch when we were together in the same spot. And I think that's just, I don't know too many bosses that would constantly take their employees out for lunch. And that's just, some might say it's respect, but from John, it's love. He's really casting out that love there. He just wants to show you that he wants to take care of his employees, the people that are around him. Right. And so, yes.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So that's how you experience it. But they're all decisions, so you can give it to somebody else if you want to. And it's real easy to know if you're doing it or not, because are you thinking about yourself in the decision? If you're considering yourself in the decision, if I give you advice, if you say, what's your advice on this? And I think about my personal situation, right? And I say, well, I don't like this and this, so my advice for you is thus and such. right? If I consider myself when I give you advice, it's tainted.
Right.
It's not loving. It's not loving. If I think about you only when I give you advice, that's loving advice.
Right. Let's move on to another question. Is marriage just a legal document, or is it also a spiritual blessing?
It depends on how you define it.
So what would be your best advice for someone about to get married?
There's a book, and I don't remember the title of it. Maybe it'll come to me in a minute, but it's something like 100 questions to ask each other before you get married. Go buy that book and ask each other those questions. And if you're brave enough, do it in front of another person. Right? Because infatuation has a lot to do with hormones. And I see this person and they're so attractive for these reasons to me. And I think then I create this fantasy that says, if I'm with this person, these wonderful things happen. And we know that no matter how good a person looks on the outside, you start living with them and everybody's stuff stinks in 3 days. The reality comes up to the top, right? And a lot of people, and I used to counsel, the most popular class I really ever taught was this class for couples that were about to get married. And they had to sign up for it, right? And we signed up for it and it would go out months, right? We said, okay, we only get 20 couples per class. You got 40 people sitting in a room, right? It's hard to, that's about the maximum you can really get and teach the way I like to teach, which is Socratically. Means that I want you to interrupt me in the middle of my teaching if you don't understand something. If you think it really doesn't make sense, let's talk about that right now, right? We're working together through the teaching. I'm not pointing the teaching at you. But the thing I quickly realized when I started teaching that class is that most people didn't talk about 90% of the things they needed to talk about, right? Do you want to be cremated when you die, or do you want to be buried? Do you think kids should be spanked, right? What about how arguments are resolved? How do you feel about yelling? You just go through another thing. And I had a group of students who were all Baptists, so they were all with a similar kind of mentality about life. But I see other couples where they get married and they've been raised, for example, Jewish and Christian. And then they've never thought about how things are going to conflict, holidays and all those. So they never gone through any of those things. And now we're going to get married.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you answered all my questions. I think we could shift to Darin.
Darin's turn.
Right.
All right, Darin.
My
Memorial Day weekend coming up. What do you have for the folks at home?
Well, I think let's change this to more of a business topic, because I was thinking about the other day that back in early 2025, Trump raised the tariffs for anything importing from China or anywhere from around the world. But right now, it's holding out around 10%, right? He lowered it, and they have an agreement until, I think it was the 26th of November. I think it's somewhere around there. My question is now that we got that truce, are we seeing deals come in from out of that chaos, or has that wave already passed?
I haven't noticed anything. From a tariff standpoint, I think that he started saying tariff, and people slowed their buying considerably. I think people took the warning. They were scared and said, "Oh, it's not going to put stuff on the water that's going to be possibly a crazy tariff by the time it gets here." So it was just a big jolt in the system. And I'm not sure that we've recovered from it. But as far as Chinese-made goods, like, we talk about the Amazon excess stuff, right? There's just so much of it just keeps coming and it keeps coming and it keeps coming. And the price is the same. All of it, when you look at it, you look at the price and you say, if I go to Alibaba and I look this stuff up and I say, I'm going to buy this in some not big quantity, right? 100 pieces, 500 pieces, something like that. If I buy it in that quantity, I'm going to get the same price as it's being offered as a closeout in the United States by the time I ship it to me and pay the current duty, right? So I'm just not seeing those deals at all.
Then
not seeing much of
who's
that.
taking the hit on that? Is that the importer that's taking the hit on that? Is that the manufacturer that's taking the hit on that?
I think this inventory was all here beforehand. I think it's all been here a long time, and they're just recycling through it. And I can see some deals that are definitely stuff that you and I saw 3 or 4 years ago, still sitting here. They're still trying to sell it, and they just keep trotting it back out and trotting it back out and trotting it back out. But
And do you think there's going to be any
moving.
products that? Do you think there's any product that is going to be coming over? Because I mean, obviously that was a huge shock to China when that happened. And so,
the Chinese brokers, they're really got a lot of stuff too. They're just pumping it in China, and some of it does look cheap, but
yeah,
you know all the risks associated when you buy it, right? It can just be so many things going on with it. You remember that Dreamtime deal where it was the animals or whatever, and the factory had it, and then we had a customer buy it, ship it to Canada, and all of a sudden the Dreamtime people said, well, that stuff's not legal because that's our factory, but they made that stuff, and then that's not ours. It's all overruns that they made to get our permission to sell it. And so even if you go send an inspector and whatever else, you got to really check every single thing and say, hey, is this deal legitimate, right? So
right.
be careful.
Right. In your experience, when a major trade disruption happens, how long does that wave of closeouts typically last? Are we at the beginning, the middle, or are we at the tail end of it all?
I think since the Iran war, things have been a little frozen, right? Everybody's cautious, not knowing what's going to happen. If you, at $5 gas, if you put freight into 20 or 30 or 40 trailer deal, and then all of a sudden the gas price shifts back to $3, you have some sunk costs that you're going to lose. And it can be a major amount of money. So I think that a lot is really going to depend on when the Strait of Hormuz opens again and the gas price comes back down and consumer confidence starts to rise.
Well, I just checked again. The tariff, the truce does hold up until the November of 2026. So at the end of this year, if it falls apart after that,
we're talking about the tariff. We're talking about the tariff agreement with China.
Yeah. If that spikes again, how do you think we're going to be positioned in next year? Think it's just going to ruin the closeout business?
The closeout business in general? No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so at all, because as you know, you can have other countries that are just popping for some reason, one reason or another, and can absorb, like Panama did, hundreds of containers of excess, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of excess out there now. I think there's going to be more excess soon. I think once things normalize somewhat, you will see a lot more excess come into the market. Once people are more certain. For the rest of the year, I think the closeout business is going to be just fine. I mean, the the hope for the Republicans is stop the war and get the gas price down, right? It's the economy and what people are paying at the store, and that's how they vote. So
yeah,
I think they're gonna get it back in line, because that's what everything depends on.
Yeah. For someone new to this business watching this right now, do you think this is the best time in year to get in on this, or is the uncertainty making it too risky?
Getting into the closeout business? I was talking to a guy, maybe it was yesterday or the day before, and I said, "What do you do?" And he laughed and he said, "I'm in the business of doing business." And I thought, okay, well, that's a really good description, because as both of you well know, that I will jump into an opportunity if I think there's an opportunity. And I know how to do a whole lot of different things because I've done a whole lot of different things. And so if it's going to be enjoyable and I think it's going to make a lot of money, okay, let's look at it. Let's try it. Let's see if we have the resources to do it. Let's see if we have the wherewithal to do it. And I've gone through life that way, and it's made me live a memorable, happy life. Being able to, not saying I didn't have a lot of tragedy and a lot of horrible things happen, but if I had to go today and had to look back on my life, and I'm comparing it to a lot of other people's lives, I would say, wow, right? it was a wild ride, and I got to do it, and it was because of that attitude.
Right. Well, that concludes my questions for the day. John, do you have anything you want to talk about? It's Memorial Weekend.
Yes. What do you this past week, Darin? What's one thing you're grateful for?
One thing I'm grateful for? Ooh, I would say the food that's been brought to me, because I've eaten some really good plates of food here lately.
Have you?
A lot of gallo pinto has been served, and I don't know why that's been, but man, I cannot get enough of gallo pinto.
You just keep eating it. There must be some metaphysical reason behind that, some prior life. Anthony, what's one thing you're grateful for this week?
My health.
Oh yeah, because you were sick the week before, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we're grateful for that too, because when you're in a bad mood, man, hard to put up with.
It certainly is.
You're like a man. You're like a man child. You're like a man child when you get sick. That's what Kendry says.
Oh, that's
so I've just started reading this set. I've just started reading this set of books. That's it's called the Seth books, and it's channeled stuff. I think I told you about it. The first one was 600 pages. Now I'm into another one that's like 300 and some odd pages, and I'm a third of the way into it, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And the reason is because it's presenting new ideas and new information I hadn't heard before. And a lot of times I buy a book and I read it, and I may go through the whole book, and it's 250 pages. And at the end of it, I think, okay, well, it was all right, but I didn't learn. Like, I wasn't forced to be look at different perspectives, right? And these books are that. And I don't know how many books there is, but I think there's a dozen of them. And so I may have just discovered, 10,000 pages of reading.
Your next week of reading.
Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy it. So I'm very thankful for that. Very, 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 very thankful for that. So for this Memorial Day weekend, I'm John Clark, along with Anthony Brooks, and we are the crew of Proven Performer. We sell big inventories. We solve big inventory problems. Here at the bottom of the screen, you'll see some information. You can reach out to us via email or via WhatsApp. We love WhatsApp. We really love WhatsApp. And we'll talk to you about your inventory problem for free. See if we can solve it. We have 500 customers in 26 different countries. And we provide wonderful service. So please reach out to us if you have a big inventory problem. If you don't have a big inventory problem, you listened all the way through this, have a great Memorial Day weekend. We will have an episode on Monday because we do this Monday through Friday, and we're trying to be more consistent in our lives every day. So have a great weekend. We'll see you then.